take it from here. Yeah, I think I take it from here.
Hello everyone. Hi. Lots of people waving. Lots of people here. Hi. Hello. Neverstalgia have kindly, or perhaps rather sillily, given me their account details. I did not hack them. They were offered to me to say, hey, you want to take over our account and do an Instagram live? And I was like, yes, I do want to do that. And the reason why I'm here, everyone, Versailles fans, Neverstalgia fans, convention fans, is to remind you that it's the last ever Versailles convention. The only convention that's ever been specifically made and catered for Versailles fans has been Me and My Idols, and now RoyalCon. So, RoyalCon is happening in November. Neverstalgia are the wonderful hosts. They host us. They have been absolutely amazing over the last, gosh, when was the first one? 2000 and, I want to say 18? I might be lying. We did stuff during COVID. They've been so good. So wonderful with all of us, with all the cast, and I'm sure with all of you that have attended. Those of you that haven't attended, you're really missing out. Call yourself Versailles fans. How dare you? So yeah, I'm here to remind you about the convention. If you haven't bought tickets yet, it's in Neverstalgia's bio. And the guests, let's talk about the guests, shall we? Let's talk about the guests that have been announced. We have, in no particular order, Lizzie Brocheret, who played Claudine, the Doctor. Lizzie was in the very first Neverstalgia convention. And so she's coming back to close off the chapter. Who else? Anna Brewster, Montespan, Madame de Montespan. Incredible person. She was also in the very first Me and My Idols. Again, coming back to close off the chapter. Who else have we got? George Webster. William of Orange. I know a firm fan favourite with you guys. Wonderful human, wonderful person. He's going to be there. He's going to be in Paris in November. Who else? Evan Williams, the Chevalier de Lorraine. He'll be there. You're going to fly him over. Going to give him the all-star first-class treatment to make sure he is there with you in Paris. Who else? George Blagden, Le Roi, the King. Louis XIV, Le Roi Soleil. He's going to be gracing us with his royal presence. And how lucky are we? I know I'm lucky. Who else? Oh, me. I'll be there. I can't remember who I played. Of course I do. But I'll be there. Yeah, I'll be there. To say goodbye, to say hi. First of all, hi. And then on the Sunday, I will most likely cry 1,000 tears and say goodbye to people. The fans. Apologies if you can hear noise. I'm a dad. My son is here, and he's very much like me. He uses his voice to convey his emotions. I'm like, are you my son? And I'm like, not a second goes by that I don't doubt that. Anyway. Thank you so much for all the love and all the waves. Yes, Minkabella, Mon Chevy will be reunited. So yeah, here's your opportunity to talk to me, ask me stuff. There is a question mark button. I see it. We've done this before, guys. Let's not be on the question mark button. You can ask questions. Let's please try and keep them Versailles convention related. Like, don't say like, hey, what's your favourite soup? Wouldn't be able to tell you. And Elise is going to be fantastic. It is going to be fantastic. You're so right. What a great comment. You're going to be so right. Right. I'm going to start waving back here. I don't know what this does. Wave. Wave. People are saying, I love this. Everyone who knows how live works, people have like sent a request to be in your live video. If I viewed that request and accepted it, you would run a mile. Some of you are really cheeky. Some of you are like, yeah, I wonder if Alex would love to have me on the screen for a little bit. I would, but I don't think you would. I think you're all bark and no bite. Hello. So yes. So the lineup is confirmed. It goes from Friday evening. It's now a 3-day convention. Before it's always been a 2-day. 3 days. Start on the Friday evening. Friday evening opens with you lucky people with conversations. Myself and George have been doing this rewatch podcast of Versailles, Nostalgia, and us. We sort of reached an agreement that wouldn't it be nice if the end episode of the season, the end episode of season 3, the culmination of mine and George's rewatch podcast would culminate in the presence of actual Versailles fans, those that are coming to the convention. And I was like, that's a great idea. So that's exactly what we're doing. So on Friday evening, before it all sort of gets a bit crazy, myself and George will be sat amongst you recording the podcast live. We want your laughs. We want your tears. We do not want your coughing or your sneezing, because that'll be a nightmare to edit. That's Friday. And then it goes into like a cocktail thing where little tables are out. We get to walk around and chat. I think that's it for Friday evening. Yes, it is. And then on Saturday, it's like bush. You know? Bish, bash, bosh. Convention, photos, signings, Q&As, one-to-ones, group chats. It's honestly the most fun that I ever have in a convention. And that's down to Nostalgia, it's down to you, the fans. I just think it's... I'm going to really miss it. Obviously, we're celebrating. The reason why RoyalCon 2 is happening is because this year will be the 10-year anniversary of when Versailles aired in France. Because I think 2 years ago we sort of said goodbye, didn't we? Those of you that were there at RoyalCon. Right? Those of you that were there at RoyalCon 1. It wasn't even called RoyalCon 1, it was called RoyalCon. Because there was no like predecessor or like something that was going to happen after it. It was RoyalCon. We had a great lineup. And I cried 1,000 tears on that Sunday because I've been with you guys from the start. Myself and Evan have been the constants. People have come and gone like a revolving door. But no, I have remained steadfast. They keep bringing me back. They've asked me to do this. They're silly. They have no idea. Right, there's questions. Methicat? Will there be a concert with Evan? There will not this time be a concert with Evan. Evan is currently filming The Long Way Home season 8, 10, 22. That man will not stop working. And they are kindly letting him fly in, fly back. He is literally coming to say goodbye to you guys, to be there in presence. I think the idea has been always, if he has the time, he'll always do a concert. But that dude is a lead character on a TV show. And I don't think he has enough time to wipe his own butt at the moment. So let alone trying to prepare a song. And I know you guys were there at RoyalCon, saw the screen and the music videos and the songs and the prep. And he did a duet with George, he did a duet with his wife, Rotana. There's loads of beautiful things, but that takes a lot of work. It's not just easy as getting up and grabbing a guitar. And I know Evan is a perfectionist. So it is a shame. But the reason why we're doing the podcast on the Friday is to sort of offer some sort of, it's not a concert, it's a podcast. I don't think you can say that they are equal. But stop complaining. All right. We all cried. We did, didn't we? I cried so much. I've answered it. So I've done that one. Yeah, and then I'm going to do this one. Can you, Memphi Cat again, Memphi Cat's doing all the great work. She knows where the question mark button is and she's asking the questions. Can you imagine life without Versailles? Well, no, because that would mean going back to 2014 and not being cast in as Philippe. And Philippe changed everything for me. Superly, like, just changed the trajectory of, I think, most of our careers. Myself and George were both in successful shows. Not the leads, but we were in successful shows. We know what that was like. I was in Merlin, George was in Vikings. So for both of us to come into our own, and we were so young, 26 and 24. No one should be given the keys to a show that young. But hey-ho. But yeah, it was great. But I can't imagine life without Versailles. Hence the podcast, hence the conventions, hence the love I have for you all. You know? Great, good question. Thank you. Someone else then, I love your questions, Memphi Cat, but like someone else should ask questions. Who else? There is a question here. How will you present the last episode of the podcast at the convention? Ooh, Melody asking the technical questions. It's half a surprise. We have an idea. We have a plan, myself and George. The whole point of the podcast is myself and George talking to each other. We have notes about the episode. We run through them. We have jokes. We have sort of, ideas, tell stories. Because it's the last episode, it might trigger a lot of different tangible narratives and chat. The plan is to also, hopefully, this isn't a promise, this is a hope, that we're going to use a projection screen to show sort of images from the episode that we're referencing. So like in this scene, Stuart Bowman had a boogie in his nose. Something like that. I don't know why I said that. So there'll be moments on the screen which you guys will be able to engage with and be like, oh yes, I remember that. We'll also be asking you guys that are present for the convention, for the podcast, to ask questions. You'll have a microphone. They'll be live connected to our recording systems, and you'll be able to come up and ask questions. Interrupt us, laugh, say you're lying, that's rubbish, and I don't know, correct us. Because that's what we don't have when we do the recordings. No one's correcting us. Myself and George are living in this sort of godlike podcast world where everything we say is correct. And I'm pretty sure most of you have listened and gone, no, that's wrong, Alex. Anyway, good questions. You all understood my rant. Thank you, Melody, for that question. Outlander Al says, George Blagden and I now have a bet on, do you think you can be chill for the chill night? Moving on. This is a great question from Isabel. Will you miss doing the podcast? Yeah, I will. A lot. Myself and George were so close and so binded by the show when we were working together that when the show finished, we both dealt with it in very different ways. We both were dealing with a grief, mourning the show. And we did this. Our lives, changed, and George got married, had a kid, I moved to France. There's just so much that went on in our lives separate to it that when we reconnected about 2 years ago, it sort of solidified why we were really good friends and why we worked so well together. So when the idea came up to do the podcast with him, it's confirmed and built the foundations of our friendship. And I love him very much, and I think he's a wonderful, wonderful person. And we get to do this podcast together, and it's 100%. Like if no one listened to it, it would just be me and George going through therapy together. It's mostly for George, though. It's mostly just to remind him about, that he did play the king. What am I... Ooh, this is a good question. From Constans02. Is there a Constans01? What are you most excited for at the con? Seeing all of you lovely lot. That's probably my most... I love doing the Q&As. I just love the atmosphere. I love seeing familiar faces. There are so many wonderful people, so many wonderful people that I've become really good friends with over the years. Familiar faces. So yeah, it's just like a feels like a warm hug, and also you don't sort of remember. I don't want to sort of excuse the fact about the fans, but also I get to see my friends again. I get to see Evan Williams again. He was the best man at my wedding, and he lives halfway across the world, and it's impossible to get in touch with him. So when we have this convention, it's the only time I get to hang out with him. So in a purely selfish way, I get to see Evan again. That was a great question. Where we go? I don't. Let's not talk about. Eloise said, "I made pony drawings of Philippe Duc d'Orléans." Oh, you make pony drawings, and then you're going to do one of Philippe Duc d'Orléans? Would he be a unicorn or a Pegasus? 100% a unicorn. There's something quite gay about unicorns. And also it helps with the... I'm going to stop gesturing. You understand. It helps with the thing that's on their head. I'm sure he's always said that he was quite well proportioned in that region. I hope I don't get kicked off the live stream for making dirty jokes. Thank you for that question. What else have we got? Darren. Hi, Darren. I'm going to Versailles for the first time the day before. Yes, Darren. How emotional is it when I go back? It's not emotional. Because we spent, I would say, 60% of the show was filmed inside a studio. And then the first 2 seasons, most of the show was filmed not in Versailles at all, in castles around France. But when I go to Versailles, when we got to shoot in Versailles, but when I go back to Versailles, I have a connect. I have a contact. He's on the podcast. He's a wonderful guy called Matthew Davinia. Matthew was the historical consultant on the show. And he's the guy that has the gold padlock and the gold key, and he literally is the guy that has all the keys to open up all the secret rooms. And I phone him and I say, "Matthew, I'm coming." And he goes, "Understood." And just closes down Versailles for me. And the amount of times I've walked around Versailles with no one there. So it's not emotional, I'm just bragging. But it's not emotional. It's not emotional. I'm more emotional about the show than I am about the location of Versailles. Had some great memories there, though. Great memories. Met the President of France, François Hollande at the time. Shook his hand. Thought his handshake was quite shit. Anyway. Who else have we got? Cherokee Mouse has asked, will you talk about favourite scenes at the convention? Yeah, of course I will. Yeah, I think there's better questions to be asked. I've got loads of favourite scenes. Do you want a better question to be asked? What's your worst scene? What scene do you watch and you think, God, that's awful? That's a good question. If you go to the convention, Cherokee, ask that. Hang on a second. I have this idea. I have this idea about trying to find someone that I know. I'll wait. I'll wait patiently. All right, mate.
Oh, hey, how's it going?
Everyone,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, Le Roi himself, George
Hi.
Blagden.
I've just
Yourself?
been. How are things? I've been doing a lot of damage control in the comments section.
Which is, I think that's that's the
I'm
sort of
just. I'm like. I'm like the PA to the Neverstalgia damage control HR.
they thought getting me on this live thing would bring in customers, pushing them away.
For sure it will. For sure it will.
How are you? How was your Friday?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you. I'm good. I'm so looking forward to this thing we're doing in November. I
Yeah.
can't wait. I just joined when you were trying to explain what our podcast was going to be about at the event, and sounded like you explained it brilliantly.
The thing is, though, it's like I hope it turns out exactly how I described. But there could be technical problems. You might not turn up.
Well, that's true.
Just
That's
decide.
absolutely true.
I don't want to do the podcast with Alex anymore. I wanted to ask you a question before I go into everyone. If you have questions for George, you can ask questions. But I wanted to ask you a question, George. When you did RoyalCon, the first RoyalCon,
Yeah.
it was your first time working with Neverstalgia, and it's your first Versailles Convention, your first like fully Versailles Convention. What was it like for you?
Well, now hang on a second. Just everyone who's watched or listened to the podcast will know I'm Mr. Pedantic. I don't think it was the first time I worked with Nostalgia. I
No,
was
not
so
nostalgia. Sorry, no.
big-headed
Yeah, no.
that I insisted
You
on
did your
doing a
own.
George-only convention. I was like, no, I won't go to Royalcon 1, but please organise something purely around me.
Well, listen, let's not
That's not true.
lie. It was originally
That's
called
not
me
true.
and it was originally called Me and My Idols, and then
Yeah.
suddenly they bagged the king to turn up, and they were like, "We must name it RoyalCon."
I'm thrilled either way. But it was just amazing. Like you said a minute ago, it's just the best way of having like a catch up with the cast and everyone who watched the show. Like they are the best environments for being completely indulgent about a job we did 10 years ago. It's so great. And
Yeah,
like I genuinely feel with the Royal Con, more than other conventions I've done, is it's like we're all fans of the show. People who are in it, people who come and watch it, and we're just hanging out for a weekend, basically nerding out about this cool thing that we did.
it is.
Essentially.
It's a combination of being we're like immensely spoiled because it's a combination of the fans getting to hang out with us and us getting to hang with the fans, and then also us as the cast reconnecting. You know, people flying half across the world to hang out with us. Some people we haven't seen. I mean, when was the last time you saw Lizzie and Anna? Apart from when they came on the pod, like in the flesh.
Okay, so I have actually seen Anna like within the last 5 years,
Okay, good.
like maybe once or twice,
Okay, good.
because well, I've just moved, but she used to live near to me. But Lizzie, I don't think I've seen Lizzie on the podcast. Like that was the first time I'd seen her digitally since the show. So that's going to be wild. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah, it's going to be good. There's a couple of questions here for you. Someone's just saying, Carol is sending her love from Sicily. So it's not a question. She's telling us that she's in a hot place and we're not. Thank you
Carol,
for that, Carol. Thanks,
you mean?
thanks, Carol. It's a bit rude. Oh no, she's sending photos. And no, I'm joking. We have another question here from Melody. Who says, "What games would you both like to play during the games session at RoyalCon?"
What games would we both like to play during the game session at RoyalCon? Fun fact, I just found out now there's a game session at RoyalCon. So that's a surprise.
Um,
Are we talking like, chess, or are we talking like,
Well, do you remember?
mud wrestling and baked beans?
Do you remember that at RoyalCon we did that thing where like we had the headset on, and then people had to like sort of mime on stage, like and it was like
Yes.
a word, and they had people lined up and stuff like that. I think
Yeah,
that's kind of what she means. I love that game. I thought it was great. People had to scream, just what's that? Well, it's like someone's going Chevalier, and you're like
that
blah blah
was
blah
that
blah blah.
was a lot more fun than when it was first explained. I remember that. I was like, this is awesome. I don't know. Maybe we should incorporate that into our podcast as well. Sort of like you've sent me off on one now,
I
guys.
know you have. You've gone.
Um,
Go back. Go back.
I think we should get like
My throw in for this would be hide and seek, where I hide and just never get found. You just see me at the bar 5 hours later. Just wait, are you still playing the game?
weird. Alex was here at lunch, but we have no one seen him since. I think my son has got like those like hobby horse, like not a hobby horse. It's a stick with a horse's head on.
Yeah, sure. No,
I
yeah,
think we
like
should
those
get a
old,
few of them and have horse races up and down the
like a
convention.
chariot race.
Exactly.
That
Exactly.
I think the insurance for Nepstal just gone through the roof. So
Yeah,
many
like-
injuries. So many injuries. Thank you for that question. Meffy Cat, again, she's just on it. Meffy Cat, like, I'm just going to ask all the questions. George, in which episode of Mary Antoinette can we see you? Thank you for that one. You know this is a Versailles podcast, Versailles related thing.
I believe
Cat.
you've done that.
She
Also,
thinks
it's
no,
because
but
I
to be
don't
fair,
actually know.
she thinks it's in the same universe.
Sure. No, Meffy Cat, thanks for the question. The simple answer is I don't know.
Yeah, because
Literally
if
don't
you
know.
listen to the podcast, George knows nothing. I'm surprised
No.
George knew to turn up today.
I didn't know on the day. I didn't know on the day. Like, I mean, I can't help you. Also, if you're asking and you've seen the show, then presumably and quite hopefully I might have been cut. So maybe I'm not in it.
That's very funny. That's good. And then we have one. Oh, Cherokee Mouse has said, do you guys have? Do you guys? She's asking the question now. Do you guys have a favorite scene that you filmed together? Thank you, Cherokee Mouse. Favorite scene that we filmed together. I don't think we've ever answered this. By the way, just as a spoiler, George, I don't think you know this, but I got a little bit of wind of the schedule, and George and me, you and I, sir, will be doing a Q&A panel together.
Amazing.
Because in Royal Con 1, they kept us, as per my contract, 200 yards away from you.
Yeah, right. Yes. I can't
So these
remember.
sort of questions we'll probably be answering again. But like, do you have a favorite scene that we did together?
Um, um, the one that we just did in the podcast was pretty good with all the fruit.
With all the fruit. Ed Basil gets directed season 3, episode 6. With all the
Yeah,
fruit. I love that. With all the fruit.
with all the
We're
fruit
not,
on the table.
don't say any more. Let the audience, let the fans figure out what
Go have a
episode.
look. Yeah,
The fruit scene
the
could be
fruit scene.
anything. Could be anything. My favorite scene with you was, I mean, I have a real fondness for that first time working together with me slamming the shoes on the floor and you
I
wiping
was
the
going to
little.
say that. I was going to say that. I was like, don't say that. It's the only scene you ever reference. Try and think of another
Well,
one.
no, but I think the reason why we reference it is because it just very quickly we shot it like Dave, like a couple of weeks into season 1, and it just sort of solidified. Oh, I felt like we both went, oh, I understand what this is now,
Yeah, I agree.
which is good. Which is good.
Yeah.
There you go. That's your answer. Thank you for that.
A lot of these comments are so lovely. There's lots of people saying very nice things about you and, well,
About
some.
me. Okay, we've got one from Skyfall _ million. Is it difficult to play a character inspired by a historical figure?
Sorry, I'm just distracted by the fact that my wife's just asked what I'd like for dinner on the
On the
chat.
chat. Hi Laura.
Sorry, everyone.
Hi Laura. Thanks for coming.
Sorry,
No,
sorry.
listen. Just be grateful. My wife's next door. She's not watching the chat. She doesn't care.
So sorry. What was the question again? I'm giving it.
I'll read it
So
back to
sorry.
you. Skyfall _ million said, "Is it difficult to play a character inspired by a historical figure, George?"
Yes.
Okay, great.
Next
Good.
question.
Moving on. Thank you for that. Always.
Economical. Well, yeah, no, yeah. We talk about it on the podcast, don't we? That like,
Yeah.
it's always hard because you've got like loads, especially in France, playing those brothers. We both had people all the time on set being like, you absolutely can't do that. You can't sit there. You can't walk like that. You would never wear that like that. You'd never address that person. Don't even think about like
Yes. So
looking at
true.
your footman at the door. And yeah, it's quite constricting, but in a good way. You know,
Yeah. Very good.
like
I think you've nailed it. Right. What we're going to do is we're going to do one last question. This is from Yoli _XO89. And then, George, I'm going to kick you off so you can go and have dinner with your wife.
thanks.
This question says, I am leaving for France in 2 days. We'll be going to the Palace of Versailles. One of those days. You should go for both days, Yoli. What are some hidden gems that are accessible to the public that you recommend I take a look while I'm there?
Oh.
So basically saying, what's your favourite spot in Versailles?
Well, I have a favourite.
Tell me.
The Orangery.
Yeah, dude, I was about to say the same thing.
So good.
Go in the
I mean,
gardens, walk around, go specifically to the Orangery. It's beautiful. And it doesn't really matter. I think we filmed there in winter sometimes with snow was falling and it was just stunning.
yeah, it's amazing. I'm
Yeah.
trying to think as well, like, isn't there like a sort of secret chapel somewhere? No, there's like the big church that's like a whole wing, but then there's this other kind of,
For
I feel like that
me,
might have been the private tour that might not be accessible to the
well,
public.
for me,
Sorry, guys.
the best place was there's a theatre in Versailles, like an actual full working theatre. And it's beautiful. It's stunning. It's part of the tour, though, so it's not something that you'll see it. You'll see it on the tour. If you do have a good tour guide, you'll see everything. The church that George is describing, the orangery outside, and I think in Versailles as well. Now that they've recently done this, you could actually go on rowing boats in the water of Versailles.
Yeah, I never did it whilst we were filming, but just before we started filming, I think I went to Versailles and did rowing boats, and it's great.
Amazing,
Amazing.
amazing. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, the roi himself is going to go have some food,
I am.
and
If
and
if
you'll see
anyone can guess what we're having for dinner, because now I know, I'll give you a clue. It's Friday in the UK. Best of luck.
fish and chips Friday.
Nailed it! So predictable. So predictable.
And also, you live down by the coast. It's going to be the best fish ever. So well done.
I can't wait. Lots of
Good
love to
luck.
everyone. See you in November.
See you in November. Bye, George Blagden. Thank you so much. Do you know how to leave? I bet you
No,
don't.
I don't know. How do you do this?
How do I kick you out?
Do I click X? I'll click X.
You click X. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. There we go. George Blagden, everyone. People are saying, "Hi, love you, George. Hi, Laura." Great. Bye, George. Okay, great. Well, thanks for this. Shall I answer one more question? Rose _ B427 says, "Are you going to work together again?" I love you both. That's a really sweet question. I don't think so, because I don't know. Well, I mean, we're doing the podcast together. I mean, what happens, Hey, who knows? There might be a Versailles season 4 when it's us, 40 years from now with, in wheelchairs, being pushed around the gardens, moaning and with grey white wigs. Anyway, there's an idea for you. Canal Plus, if you're watching. Anyway, listen. Thank you so much for Nostalgia for allowing me to sneak in and do this Instagram Live. Remember, the reason why I'm here, and if you're a Versailles fan, is that we're doing a convention. The last Versailles convention, RoyalCon. Tickets are in the bio. Get your tickets if you already haven't. It's the best weekend ever. Thank you so much to everyone that's been here. Someone has now completely just decided to spam the comments with the same thing. So I think it's probably a right time to say goodbye. Okay, everyone. Big fan. Big fan. Sorry, I'm just doing technical stuff. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to go actually have some dinner, spend time with my son. See you guys in November. We'll be doing the podcast live. There's so many games, pictures, Q&A. And thank you, Neverstalgia, for trusting me with the keys to your account. Will I ever leave?